July 4th is like Thanksgiving or Christmas, a time people get together, we talk, we barbecue, and we take stock. If you're White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, people talking and taking stock about how much gas costs and how much food costs, well, it's not good timing. But for Republican presidential hopefuls, this is the first major holiday where there are multiple choices. New polling shows Florida Governor Ron DeSantis now nationally within 9 points of President Trump among Republicans. And overall, head-to-head, both DeSantis and Trump lose to Joe Biden, but by about the same margin, just 3 points. Rena Shaw ran the Republican Women for Biden during the 2020 election and joins us now. Rena, I would think with President Biden's approvals numbers near freezing, most unpopular president in history, any Republican would poll better than him, yet both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis don't. What gives?
Leland, simply put, it's Trumpism. I think there's that streak of Trumpism throughout the Republican Party that has been turning people off. And it caused voters like me to cross party lines and essentially punish the politicians, the Republicans that I had voted for in the past, and say, I don't trust you anymore to do the right thing, because I am, more than anything else, Leland, a pro-democracy voter, a pro-democracy advocate. And I saw that under the Trump administration, fine, certain norms and institutions he didn't have respect for. But for me, it was the rule of law that Trump really didn't show any regard for. And that concerned me.
That perhaps explains, and some of the revelations of January 6th perhaps explains him not beating Joe Biden, although in fairness, there are polls that cut both ways on this. But not Ron DeSantis. And I'm wondering if there's reality to the criticism by the MAGA types that there's way too many people who describe themselves as Republicans who aren't conservative. They're sort of blowing with the wind.
Well, you know, I would sort of push back with this. Look, the ideal voter in a democracy doesn't vote along party lines. They vote on the issues. And I think that's really important, especially in this era, as you have more of Gen Z sort of getting engaged in a different way. We've got technology that allows us to be civically engaged in a way that we were not able to even 6 years ago. I would say this about this growing independent.
Right, but okay, I understand saying the rule of law is important, but wouldn't then this group who's economically crushed by President Biden's policies and currently in rough economic shape say anybody but Trump from the Republican side would be great?
And Leland, you hit the nail on its head there. Look, I started Republicans for Biden in 2020, but like I just described, I don't think the ideal voter stays stuck
but if
on
you started
one thing.
if you started Republicans for Biden before the election, how does that go to a rule of law that you're upset because of January 6th?
It wasn't about January 6th for me. Absolutely not. No, it was the first term of Trump. It was seeing Trump as a candidate and feeling like there was something amiss here. And now we know after January 6th, it's what I and many others warned about. But Biden has not served us in the way that we deserved or that we thought he would. Of course, there were a lot of people that crossed over and wanted to have Biden because they wanted sort of this return to normalcy. I personally felt that he was quite experienced. He was a statesman. He would do something different. He would meet the moment in a different way. I think there are a great many examples now from his term that show us that he isn't doing much that's different than business as usual. And that's where there's an entryway for a Republican candidate, somebody who can come in and take the MAGA and also...
Well, so what you're describing realistically is MAGA without the crazy. It's the Glenn Youngkin, Glenn Youngkin model. You think, though, I've been at this for a while. I was on the air the weekend President Trump had his first rally as candidate Trump back in 2015 after the Golden Escalator. And we have written the obituary of his political life so many times. I got 30 seconds here. Why should this time be any different?
This time is different because we see the president for exactly who he was sort of telling us he would be, but now we've seen it shown. He wanted to be a king on January 6th. He wanted to take a right that was not constitutionally there for him to take. And that is problematic for the future. So whoever anybody's excited about next, whether it's DeSantis, maybe even Pence or Haley, who are not looking too great either, I'll be honest, it's going to be very important for Republicans to coalesce around somebody that takes us to a place that American greatness can meet sort of this model of democracy that allows us to be the shining beacon on the hill, so that light for the world. I'm worried about it because I don't know that example, that person has stuck their neck out fully as yet.
Well, Glenn Youngkin's meeting with mega donors in New York, as is Ron DeSantis. So there we go. Rena, it was good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leland.
All right. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.